Hello, this is Patrick at OneCNCWest, and what we're going to do in this basic training video is take a look at rotating geometry. Now, please note that the basic training videos are intended for those that are just starting out with OneCNC. These are very basic training techniques. All right, another thing I should point out is that I'm using the cool blue theme. You can select the theme of OneCNC when you start or launch OneCNC right here. All right, so the first thing to know is that if you're going to move geometry, if you're going to rotate geometry or mirror geometry, you're going to need to select the geometry first. If you take a look at the top of the screen, these are all of your selection tools. For example, I could use the select by window, left click, drag a window and left click. That's one technique. Or if you'd like, you can use the select by color. You can left click and select blue. There's only really one color there. All right, or you can use the shortcut. I like using Control A, Control Alpha on the keyboard. That selects everything, and it's the shortcut to this button right here, which is select all visible entities. All right, now to access the rotate command, there's two places to do that. At the very top of the screen, you have rotate, and then over here on the left-hand side, within the command manager, if you select transform, you can also select rotate here. Don't get this rotate confused with rotate around a line, just this simple rotate command. Now, when you select that command, OneCNC needs to know where we're going to rotate the geometry around. In fact, if you look at the bottom of the screen, you'll see that OneCNC says pick position to rotate around. Now, you can type coordinates in here for the rotation point, or you can take your cursor, you can left click places to rotate around if you'd like. In fact, I'm going to left click the datum, the X0, Y0, Z0. Now, you'll know you're over the datum when you get that little green square. All right, I'm going to left click. And before we go too much farther, I want to point your attention to the lower left-hand corner. There's 6 different options there. And what I'd like to say right off the bat is typically you're going to want to use the bottom 3 options. That's because these 3 options rotate around the default world construction plane. All right, I'm going to click here under the Z-axis. Now when I do that, you'll notice that OneCNC gives us a digital compass. In fact, I'm going to rotate the view a little bit so you can see that a little bit better. So here's the digital compass, and because I clicked inside of the rotation Z, I can snap different increments just by simply left clicking. Now, another thing to point out is that when you're using the digital compass, you can look over on the left-hand side, and OneCNC will give you feedback telling you what angle you're snapping to. All right. Now, if I change the axis from, let's say, Z to Y, now the digital compass is along the Y axis, and I can snap if I want. You can snap different values. For example, let's snap it right there, and now we've rotated the geometry around the Y axis. All right. So that's one technique using the digital compass. I'm going to undo this by hitting Control Z, Control Zebra on the keyboard. And let's go ahead and hit the spacebar twice to quickly go to a CAD view. Now, if you don't want to use the digital compass, we're going to do this. We're going to select the geometry. Again, I'll use Control A, Control Alpha on the keyboard. And this time, we're going to go into rotate, let's say here. We're going to digitize the position to rotate around. But now, instead of using the digital compass, we'll come down here and we'll type in a value. Let's say 40 degrees. Once we do that, OneCNC gives us a preview. And if that's what we'd like, we can click OK, just like that. I'm going to undo that with Control Z, Control Zebra. Let's try that again. Control A to select everything. We're going to go to our rotate command. We're going to digitize where we want to rotate around. And this time, instead of the Z axis, let's rotate around the X axis. How about 90 degrees? And we'll click OK to that. And now OneCNC has rotated the geometry around this point around the X-axis 90 degrees. All right, so that's very fundamental, basic training in regards to rotate. I do want to point one thing out really quick. When we go back in here to rotate, in the next video, we're going to talk about rotation plane and how that differs from the standard rotation. Okay, thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.